Thank you to everyone for the 2,000 likes in the previous video, and I hope that this video also reaches 2,000 likes, and thanks to the friends who supported the channel financially. And if you are watching the manhwa for the first time, you will find the name and all parts in the first comment. After Ryu played the role of Lost Yak and fooled everyone, he decided to go to the chairman's house. But after thinking for a moment, he gave up on this idea and said to himself, if it were up to me, I'd eliminate the chairman, assume his identity, and effortlessly manipulate the organization. But that was proven impossible because the assassin's mask only targets players, and the chairman wasn't a player. It was an ironic twist that the leader of a player-filled organization wasn't a player himself. Also, approaching him was no easy task, thanks to player Yamti. Then Ryu added, I can't deal with Yamti's abilities with my current capabilities, and until then, I'll stick to playing the role of Lost Yak, and he likely wouldn't be transforming to Lost Yak until the next meeting. So he has got some spare time now. And with the newfound free time, there was something he had to do. It's related to recovering durability. The Bead of Eternity, a remarkable item, bestows stat points for killing monsters, and for every monster you kill, the durability drops by 1 point. And once that durability is depleted, the necklace vanishes. That's its one shortcoming, but only when its durability wanes. And if one can restore durability, there's no better stat-boosting item. That's why it's a tailor-made item for blacksmiths. And with the repair skill, you can endlessly mend durability and strive for permanent stat gains. But this necklace isn't easy to acquire, as if you fail to defeat an orc shaman in the 5th round, the chance to obtain it eludes you. But there's no law that says only blacksmiths can benefit from it. Recovering durability is possible for anyone. That was the reason Ryu wanted to go abroad, because there was a blacksmith overseas who would become famous for being the best. And he said, I need to ask that person to fix the durability of the bead. With this goal in mind, Ryu promptly prepared for his overseas journey. Observing Ryu Min packing his suitcase, his younger sibling inquired with curiosity, Hey, what are you up to? Where are you headed? Ryu replied, Just a quick trip abroad. I'll be back soon. 3 days should suffice. His younger sibling asked, What's the reason for your trip? Business-related? Ryu replied, Well, you could say that. Then his sibling said, I was thinking of joining you if it was for leisure, but it doesn't seem feasible. Ryu smiled and said, Who goes on vacation in times like these? And he added, Make sure to eat well while I'm away. His sibling asked, But where are you off to? Ryu chuckled and replied, The UK. In the UK, Russell Daniel had long forsaken formal education. For 6 years, he had dwelled in a rustic cabin amidst the woods, honing his blacksmithing skills. The clang of the hammer meeting red-hot iron resonated through the air, and this was the craft of shaping and strengthening. At that time, Russell was fashioning a 15-centimeter-long dagger, and when its shape met his approval, he used a whetstone to sharpen the blade. Subsequently, he plunged the blade into the water after heating only its edge in the fiery forge. This process elevated the blade's sharpness. Now, it's complete. Gazing at the finely crafted dagger, Russell let out a wistful chuckle and said, It'd be nice if I could sell at least one a day. Then he said, Well, I did anticipate this turn of events. After all, making a living as a blacksmith was never a walk in the park. As the costs of blacksmithing materials were no trifling matter, he had persevered thus far, but now he reached his limits. His bank balance also was plummeting, and he wished not to burden his parents any further. And he said, Perhaps it's time to explore a different profession. And without thinking, Russell turned around and suddenly he was taken aback. Instead of a wild animal, a person was approaching, and not just any person, but someone of Asian descent. Russell said to himself, What? It's not common to see people here. However, he wasn't sure if they could communicate, but he decided to start a conversation, and he asked, What's the matter? Are you lost? Ryu spoke fluent English and said, Russell Daniel, right? The young, famous blacksmith. Russell's expression grew cold and asked, Who are you? Ryu smiled and said, It seems I've found the right person based on your reaction. Then Russell asked, Where did you hear about me? I don't have any Asian customers. Ryu replied, I didn't hear about you. I saw you. Russell said in amazement, Saw me? Ryu said, I'm a prophet. I can see the future. Russell said to himself, A prophet? What nonsense is this person talking about? Then Ryu added, Russell, level 21, occupation, blacksmith, area designation, CU key 008. Is that correct? Russell remained silent, unable to speak due to his shock, and his eyes widened in disbelief. Then he said to himself, "To accurately guess the area designation, even details I've never disclosed to anyone, it seems saying he's a prophet isn't just a baseless claim." And he asked Ryu, "Can you really see the future?" Ryu replied, "Yes." Russell said, "I've never heard of a profession like prophet." Ryu said, "That's because it's rare. In this other world, there are countless professions. Among them, there's a unique class that only one person can have. That class is prophet." Then Russell said, "Okay, and why have you come here, Mr. Prophet?" Ryu said, "Don't ridicule me like that." Russell, "I've come because I want to strike a deal with you." Russell inquired, "A deal?" Ryu said, "Yes. Please use your repair skill to fix one item for me. If you do that, I'll provide you with valuable information." Russell said in amazement, "Information?" And he asked, "What kind of valuable information?" Ryu replied, "It's information about the 6th round." Russell's eyes widened, and he said to himself, "If I can know about the next round in advance, it will be of great help to plan ahead." Honestly, it wasn't a difficult task. It was easier than blacksmithing, as all he needed to do was touch the item and cast a skill. But being cautious by nature when it came to interpersonal relationships, Russell couldn't help but be wary. And he said to himself, "The problem is that it's too easy." And the benefit outweighed the simplicity of the task, as information about the 6th round was a significant advantage. Then he asked Ryu, "Are you really offering 6th round information in exchange for repairing an item's durability?" Ryu replied, "Yes." Russell looked at Ryu with suspicion and said, "Isn't that too good to be true? Are you sure there isn't another motive?" Ryu chuckled and said to himself, "Typical Russell." Even though it was a no-risk proposition, he doubted and remained cautious. And he said to Russell, "I could have been disappointed if you had just accepted it without suspicion." And Ryu continued saying, "May I be a bit straightforward? I want to become friends with you." Russell was surprised and asked, "What?" Ryu said, "I saw it in the future. You reaching the pinnacle as a blacksmith." Russell said, "Me? Reaching the pinnacle?" Whether Russell's eyes widened or not, Ryu Min continued saying, "You survive up to the 15th round without anyone's help. It's an impressive feat, but that's all it is. After that, you have no future. It's a bleak prospect, but I can help you. If you join hands with me, you can grow more easily, even beyond the 15th round, even the blacksmithing life you desire." Just a while ago, Russell didn't believe a word this Asian man was saying. He thought it might be a trick, but when he accurately guessed his wish, his thoughts changed. Then he asked, "What do you want from me?" Ryu smiled warmly and said, "I don't want much, just helping each other. In fact, unlike the more unique classes like Buffer, Mercenary King, and Dark Knight, the blacksmith class is a common class. This means there are a lot of other blacksmiths that can replace Russell." However, Ryu had a specific reason for embarking on a journey deep into the mountains of England. It boiled down to one simple fact. Russell was a rare talent, and the story about Russell surviving up to the 15th round was far from fiction. He had not only defied the odds, but also reached the pinnacle of the blacksmith class. Then Ryu said to himself, although he never hit max level and eventually met his end, he was the last blacksmith standing. And if I can maintain a friendly relationship with such a talent, it would be incredibly advantageous as they progress through the rounds. Furthermore, repairing the durability of the necklace was an added benefit. Then Ryu cast a thoughtful glance at Russell. He seems to be torn between trusting him and doubting himself. For times like these, Ryu's grasp of English honed through countless regressions came in handy. And with a fluent voice, Ryu made his proposition, saying, "What I'm requesting isn't too demanding. Just help with occasional equipment maintenance and cast a few skills when needed. In return, I'll provide you with information about the next round. By doing so, you can rapidly enhance your strength, taking advantage of missed opportunities from the past." Russell hesitated, pondering the tantalizing offer of receiving future information in exchange for the use of his skills. However, his primary concern was trust, and he said to himself, "Ryu Min seems honest when he speaks, but can I really trust him?" Then Russell, caught in a dilemma, offered a compromise and said, "Thank you for valuing my future, but I'm not entirely convinced yet. So, here's my proposal. I'll decide whether to continue the deal based on the results of round 6. Ryu said, "Do whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm not asking you to sign a contract." And Ryu wore a confident smile, believing that once Russell saw the prophecy come true, he would have no choice but to rely on him. just like Heavenly Demon. Russell added, "First, let me repair your items, and you can give me the information for round 6 afterward." Rao said, "All right, here," and he retrieved the Bead of Eternity from his inventory. With only 1 durability remaining, it was on the brink of shattering. Without even checking the item's information, Russell immediately cast a skill. As the bead briefly emitted light, the repair was complete. Then Russell said, "I've fixed everything here." Ryu accepted the item and checked its information. The durability was now 1,000, fully restored. Ryu smiled and said to himself, "Great, now I can start stacking again." At that time, Russell said to himself, "I don't know what kind of necklace this is, but it seems quite valuable if he's willing to go through all of this trouble to repair its durability." Although Russell could have easily read the item's information, he had chosen not to, respecting the customer's privacy. It was a professional and ethical approach. Then Ryu said, "Thank you. The durability is fully restored now." Russell said, "Now can you provide me with information for round 6? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support the channel financially. And wait for the next part.